Welcome back once again. My name is James Henderson, coming to you live from where else? Well, where else do you think? Localhandyman.org. It's our free online service for all handyman skills and services. It is the place to go to find your local handyman. So, as the site community builds, so will our features, functions, and algorithms. So we're here to help you with trying to find the right handyman, as long as trying to find your next job. So what are we all about? Well, right now we're going to explain to you, for people who are wanting to get into the handyman service, what a carpenter is all about. But a word from our sponsor. There's nothing like having a really good beer while you're swinging a hammer. But please, just like drinking and driving, you can't have two beers in your hand and swing a hammer at the same time. It just doesn't work. All right. So now let's go back to what's carpentry all about. Today we're going to be talking about what they do on the job functions, the knowledge, the skills, the abilities, the personalities, and the technology that you might be required, as long as what type of education that you're going to need to start off, and what type of money are you going to be looking at once you've mastered the trade. So what is carpenters all about? Well, they're also called cabinet makers, concrete carpenters, form carpenters. What do they do? They construct, they erect, they install, they repair structures, and fix anything made of wood and compatible material, such as concrete form, building frameworks, and then we're including, partitions, joints, studdings, rafters, and also wood staircases. In fact, you might be required to build that one on your first project. And also, you're going to have to be looking at windows and door frames, hardware floors. I mean, just keep talking about what's required with wood. You're going to be working with drywallers, sidings, cabinet makers, and bait and roll insulation. There's many more that'll keep going on. In fact, as technology keeps increasing in the housing industry and the building industry, so is the material, and so are the different skills that you're going to be required to interact with to get your job done and get it just done right. So what about the knowledge that it takes to become a carpenter? Well, you're going to have to know some engineering and technologies behind it. That includes building and construction and design. You're going to have to know how to read a blueprint of a house when it comes in contact. You're going to have, and later on in life, you're going to be required to draw up, prints and blueprints. Well, what about the math and science? Seems like you got to know math and science, and you do. You got to know arithmetic, algebra, geometry, calculus, and stats. But hold on here. You're about to lose me because I'm not good at math. You know what? No one's requiring you to know it right off the hand. Little thing called a phone. It's got a bunch of application on there. You just plug in the numbers and the answer will come right to you. So don't worry about the math, man. It's not that hard. Technology is improving, like I said, and so your job is just getting easier and easier. But what about the arts and humanities side of carpentry? What it boils down to is what country you work in, you've got to know the language. So here in America, you've got to know English. If you're over in France, you got to know French. If you're over in German, you got to know German. Polish, same thing. Same thing with South American. You got to know Spanish. It's like, all right, I get that. What about business management? You gotta realize that your management skills are the essence of you growing in this field by leaps and bounds. Like knowing how to work with managers, along with knowing how to work with the other trades, and know with what you need to buy and managing your own tools and your own infrastructure that surrounds you personally. It's like, all right, it's like if I tell you I've got to have a wall constructed with plywood and 2x4s, you can take a look at the blueprint and says, all right, we're looking at this length. I need 15 2x4s along with, uh, you know, 300 sheets of whatever. And the thing is, you're going to be required to know that stuff if you really want to start making the big bucks. So, what are the skills that you're asking me to have, or do I need to have to be an excellent carpenter? You're just going to need to know your basic polite mannerisms, how to listen to others, don't interrupt, and ask solid questions. Good questions, but solid questions. There's a time to BS, but when you're interacting with business people, they've already got 1,000 things that's on their minds. So just get straight to the point and then go do your job. What about keeping track of how well other groups are doing? You know what? In the very beginning, you can't keep track of others, but if you do interact with them, just ask them enough questions of, for instance, like with my last project, I was installing, cable wire, all throughout the house. I needed to know when the framers were done and that sheetrock was going up, because I wasn't going to do my job or get my job done if the sheetrock was up before I even started, or my job was going to get about 1,000 times worse. So I was able to talk to drywallers. They gave me a direct date. The drywallers came in. They gave me a solid date. I had a small time frame. And you know what? Job got done. Yeah, sure, I was working at 4 o'clock in the morning. But you know what? After my stuff was installed, the boxes, everything, all the boxes were installed. The drywallers came in, put the drywall on top of my stuff. I was able to pull the rest of the line, plug it, get in, get out. And you know what? No one had to answer or ask questions of why my stuff wasn't done, and they just gave me the check, and I left. So what about problem solving? You know what? Every job is different. The nice thing about working with carpentry is there's a lot of problem solving that you're going to be doing. And you know what the best way to do is when you figure it out? Either ask a question to a senior position in your group, or or make small examples to see whether or not your problem actually solves or the solution actually solves the problem. It's like, all right, what about the abilities? Well, the abilities are you've got to have hands and fingers. Sorry, man, you cannot be a good carpenter if you have no hands. All right, I've seen people do it with feet. You know what? It just doesn't work out. Never seen a long-term, guy without any hands. I'm sure I've seen them miss a couple fingers. But that's where your management comes in place. You got to know the tools where you don't, see any of your fingers flying off. What about your endurance? If you can't work more than 8 hours, then this job's probably not for you. You got to exercise for a long time without getting out of breath. And this is what it boils down to. Your ideas and logic, you got to notice when problems happen or before they happen and try to solve them. And you also got to arrange things. And you also got to, know how, how something's going to look before you erect it. What about personalities? What type of personalities really go good with being a carpenter and succeeding? Well, what I've seen the guys who pay attention to details. Every small inch nook and cranny is a big deal to them. Cooperation with working with other trades and material. The dependability is also another big one. A lot of new guys today are just unreliable, undependable. If you want to succeed in this business, make your yes be yes, your no be no, and you know what? I don't have a clue, but I will find out. Not, I don't have a clue, so I'm gonna move on to the next thing. That doesn't work. What works is, I don't have a clue, I'm gonna find out. Self-control is a big thing. So watch your language and your leadership skills. Make sure you know how to control you and not anyone else. That's just how it is. Technology. You got to know how to use a computer. Microsoft Word is a good word processor to know. Some project management software, there's 1,000 of them coming online every day. So Turtle Creek software is one of them. VirtualBoss another one. And of course, when you start your own business, you're going to have to know how to learn QuickBooks. So, guys, make sure if you're into this business, this is the business for you. Because once you find out everything that your skills are needing and demanding of you personally, now all of a sudden you've got the chance. Well, you'll be a chance to make a lot of money at it. Sure, you'll be starting off about $25 an hour, between 20 and 25 bucks, with inflation going up, even a little bit more in some of the states that are just thriving. But once you can get out there and start your own business and start learning how to, your trade well enough to where you can teach others and also helping them know their trade and make them want to stay. And so we can build a confirmed build crew out of it. Then you're able to start making real money because you got your salesmen working for you. Then you got your jobs getting done. The money's being passed on to you. And your guys are staying around because they want to stay around. So that management skills is great for when you're starting out because you start understanding you. But then it's great when you're having to do cost analysis and bidding out projects, which is another great thing. So that's all I got to say for what carpenters are required to do around here and what I've seen them do. And the thing is, I want to thank my sponsors, Beer and Hammer. They've always been a really dear friend of mine. And listen, if you've got a service other than carpentry, well, go ahead and sign up. We'd be glad to, showcase your skills. In fact, I've got another one coming up here tomorrow, and we got some really cool things. So thank you very much. I hope that, this. I know this video is a little bit boring, but it's just to get the word out. All right, you have a good day, guys. I'll see you out there in a home somewhere.